Hey y'all. Don't forget to leave a like button on Suave Alive and then come over here and I put the link in the comment section already. Hey y'all. How y'all doing? The link is in the chat so you can join the panel. What y'all want to talk about? And for those who were asking earlier, yes, I am okay. It was just a little internal bleeding. Um, I got treatment and stuff, and I had to get 2 shots. I didn't like it; it hurt, but I had to get 2 shots, and then I have to go back to um to the doctor next week. Well, yeah, we could go over some of the Greek stuff. Let's see. Do a quick search. Okay, so we can go into a little bit about Hera. So Hera was the Olympian queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage, women, in the sky. This page describes the wrath of Hera, which was mostly directed against mistresses and bastard sons of Zeus. The most famous victims of her husband's lovers were Leto, Lo, and Semele, and her stepsons Hercules and Dionysus. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to see if this got the whole story on here. Okay, here we go. So this is the story of Io. So Zeus seduced Io while she was a priestess of Hera. When Hera discovered them, Zeus touched the girl, changed her into a white cow, and swore that he had not had sex with her. For this reason, says Hesiod, who is like the he's a writer. Oaths that made in love do not incite divine anger. Hera demanded the cow from Zeus and assigned Argos Pantotes as his guard. Argos tied the cow to an olive tree in the grove of Mycene. Zeus instructed Hermes to steal her, and Hermes killed Argos with a stone. Hera then inflicted the cow with a glad fly and made her way into Greece until she finally reached Egypt, where she regained her shape and gave birth to the Nile, to a son Ephos. Hera asked Curtius to kidnap the child, which they did. When Zeus found this out, he slew Curtius, while Io set out to find the babe, who was eventually located in Syria. So, you got Zeus's side bitch getting in fucking trouble and shit. and he coming to save her. You know, it just goes to show, even if the nigga a god, he for the streets. Okay, so then you got the story of Semele, right? So Zeus fell in love with Semele and slept with her, promising her anything she wanted and keeping it all from Hera. So he just be lying. But Semele was deceived by Hera into asking Zeus to come to her as he came to Hera during their courtship. So basically, she wanted him to take his godly form in front of her. So Zeus, unable to refuse her, arrived in her bridal chamber in a chariot with lightning flashes and thunder, and sent a thunderbolt at her. Semele died of fright, and Zeus grabbed her from the fire, her 6 month aborted baby, Dionysus, which he sewed into his thigh. So this bitch, well, Hera tricked this silly hoe into getting herself killed. That's crazy. And then he took the baby and sewed that joint into his thigh. But I mean, you can't really be mad at the baby, like. But yeah, that's fucked up. Let's see. I'm not gonna do all this just to read this story. Damn it. I hate when websites ask you to do too much in order to view the content. Like, just let me read the story out loud, big dog. Okay, so this is for like one time that Hera cheated on Zeus. So one day, Zeus was kind enough to invite Aloxion to Olympus. So he's some dude as a guest. He's a mortal, he's not a god. However, when the mortal saw Hera, Zeus's wife, he was attracted to her and made his move to seduce her. Zeus decided to test Ion's, whatever his name is, loyalty, and made a cloud copy of his wife. He fell for it and somehow impregnated the cloud Hera, who later bore the monster centaurs. Zeus blasted old boy with his powerful lightning bolt and bound him to a burning wheel that would spin forever. He was repeated to repeat the words, repay your benefactor frequently with gentle favors in return for eternity. That's crazy. That's a long ass line to be saying for the rest of existence. Shit. I ain't gonna lie, at that point, you better off being dead, bro. Mm-mm. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go over the story of Arachne, and this is the origin story of spiders. Okay, so Arachne was a young Lydian woman, daughter of a famous textile. When she was a tiny girl, she learned to weave and immediately showed her talent, even as a novice. As she grew, she kept practicing and working on her craft for years. Her fame spread across the land, and many came to watch her weave. Arachne was such a talented and dedicated weaver that she invented linen. She could weave so well that the images on her fabrics were so perfect people thought that they were real. All the attention, fame, and adoration for her weaving made Arachne's pride soar to the point that she became conceited. When spectators called her talent divine and a gift of the gods, especially of Athena, who was the goddess of weaving, she scoffed at the notion. My talent does not come from the gods, nor Athena. The crowd gasped in horror because insolence in the face of the gods often incurred their wrath. One of her friends argued her to take it back. Ask Athena to forgive your audacity, the fan said, and she might spare you. But Arachne would have none of that. Why should I ask her for forgiveness? She challenged. I am a better weaver than even her. How could my talent been her gift if I am better? At that, there was a bright light, and Athena appeared before her and the spectators. Will you say these things to my face, girl? She asked Arachne. So Athena said, okay, bitch, say it to my face. Square up. Arachne nodded. I will, goddess, and I will prove my words too, with my deeds if you wish. We can have a weaving competition. So this bitch really got the gall, the motherfucking audacity to be coming at our good sis like that. So Athena accepted the challenge, of course. The goddess and the mortal sat down to weave. People gathered more and more to watch the wondrous spectacle. The weaving went on for days until finally both Arachne and Athena had produced a tapestry with scenes of the gods on it. Athena's tapestry was the most perfect thing mortal eyes had ever seen. As a goddess, the thread she used came from the fabric of the earth itself. She had depicted the gods at Mount Olympus in all their splendor. Each one of them shone in glory doing heroic things. They were also so lifelike that even the clouds in the sky looked three-dimensional and with perfect color. Nobody believed that Arachne could stop something so immaculate. But Arachne remained confident as she unfurled her own tapestry, letting it fall over Athena's in a flurry. The crowd gasped again because they couldn't believe their eyes. The tapestry was divine. Athena was surprised to see that even though she had used mortal threads, her scenes were vivid and lifelike and powerful. Arachne too had depictions of gods in four different scenes, separated by exquisite designs. But there was one big difference. Arachne's gods had no glory, no virtue, no kindness. The scenes Arachne chose to depict were scenes of the gods at their pettiest, their drunkest, their most abusive towards mortals. Alternatively, it says she depicted Zeus and his plundering. Okay. To add insult to injury, the tapestry was flawless, even to Athena's godlike eyes. The detail and complexity of the scenes depicted were far superior to Athena's too, and Arachne's tapestry was the better one of the two. This surprised Athena and enraged her. Not only was Arachne better than her, but she also had dared to call out the gods and their flaws for all to see. Such insult could not be tolerated. In great terrifying anger, Arachne tore the tapestries to pieces, smashed her loom, and beat Arachne 3 times, cursing her in front of everyone. Arachne was shocked and ashamed and ran off in desperation. She couldn't bear what happened, so she hangs herself from a tree. That's when Athena turned her into a spider, a hairy small creature with 8 legs that was hanging from a tree by its own web. Now a spider, Arachne immediately scurried up the web and started weaving more. From now on and forever. This is how it will be for you and yours, Athena said. You will forever weave your exquisite works, and people will destroy them when they see them. And this is how spiders were created in the world. Okay? So you have the stories of spiders or whatever. And if any of y'all have ever read the Percy Jackson book, there's an ongoing thing with the children of Athena that they are haunted by spiders. So every night in the shadows, spiders would come into their homes, like just out of nowhere, appear out of just the shadows and cover themselves onto these children and bite them and harass them. And if their mortal parent were to open the door, the spiders would disappear, and the parent would never see it and think that they're just crazy. So yeah, that's how spiders. Nobody. She hung herself because Athena beat her ass and cursed her in front of everybody 3 times. Like I guess Athena beat her till she was fucking ugly, bro. And she said I can't go on like this. Like that's what I think. Now it's this one story. There we go, tenth layers. This nigga here, like I'm not even gonna lie to you. Every time I read a story about him, I just in my mind he's just depicted as this real dusty, dirty, dingy, fat, ugly ass motherfucker. Cause this motherfucker right here is retarded. So Tantalus was the son of Zeus. So you can already see that it's gonna go left right now. And the nymph Pluto in Greek mythology, who was punished after death in Tartarus. So, oh my gosh, is it not gonna get a whole story? Wow, why do they only give like part of the story and then give you all these other links? Boy, if they don't give me the whole fucking story. Okay, here we go. So he had a wife. He had fathers and shit. Whatever. He was the son of Zeus and some nymph. So Tantalus was welcomed to the table of the deities on Olympus. However, he stole ambrosia and nectar, thinking that he could take it back to his people in order to make them immortal and reveal the divine secrets. He later decided to sacrifice his son to the gods. So he cut Papillus in pieces and served him to the gods. So he invited Zeus and all his homies to his house, and he was like, "Y'all, hey dad, I'm gonna cook a family dinner. Y'all come on down here to my place." Whole time the gods didn't know that he had killed his son, and that's what they was eating, sun pie. So he served his son to the gods. The gods realized what happened and did not eat it all. Only Demeter, who was upset by her daughter's abduction by Hades. So she's the only one who took a bite of his motherfucking shoulder because she was, somewhere else at the moment. So when it was revealed what had happened, Zeus told Clotho, one of the 3 fates, to bring the boy back to life, and the missing part of his shoulder was replaced by an ivory piece forged by Hephaestus. Tantalus was thrown out of Olympus, and after he died, he was punished for eternity. He was made to stand in a pool of water right under the branches of a fruit tree. However, when he tried to reach for a fruit, the branches would go up higher out of reach, while when he tried to drink a sip of the waters of the pool would recede. So Boom, he got punished. It was over for him. Once he died and he went, downstairs, they said, "Oh no, boy, we got you. We got you, fam." And they got him. It's crazy. That's why you can't be playing with them folks. They got short tempers and they quick to be like, "Okay, I'm gonna wait for you to die." See. Okay, so next story we're gonna go over is Cyphus, right? Okay, so Cyphus, right? He was the son of Aeolus and the father of Gaeus. And he was characterized as a cunning person. So when death came to fetch him, Cyphus chained death up so that no one died. Finally, Ares came to aid death, and Cyphus had to submit. In the meantime, Cyphus had told his wife, Merpe, not to perform the usual sacrifices and to leave his body unburied. Thus, when he reached the underworld, he was permitted to return to punish her for the omission. Once back at home, Cyphus continued to live to a ripe old age before dying a second time. So they smited him, right? They smited him. But because he was unburied and his wife didn't perform those sacrifices, right? Death couldn't necessarily hold his soul, so he returned back and he lived on and died of old age. So he was that dude. So Cyphus was in fact like Autolycus and Prometheus, a widely popular figure of folklore, the trickster or the master thief. Clearly, he is everlasting punished in Hades as the penalty for cheating death. But so in Hades or whatever, since he cheated death, his punishment was that he would have to stand at the bottom of this great hill and push a giant boulder up the hill, right? And right before he got to the top, that bitch would roll back down and he had to start over. So that nigga ripped. But he died of old age too, so he had to be weak as fuck though. Okay, so we're gonna read about the story of Narcissus and Echo. So Narcissus is the son of the river god Cepheus and nymph Lilyrope. He was distinguished for his beauty. According to Ovid's Metamorphoses, Book 3, Narcissus' mother was told by the blind seer Taurus that he would have a long life, provided he never recognized himself. However, his rejection of the love of the nymph Echo on an earlier version of the young man Amenius drew upon him the revenge of the gods. He fell in love with his own reflection, and the waters of a spring pined away. Or, he died of starvation, basically. The flower that bears his name sprang up where he died. So, In some iterations, it say that he gazed upon the river in order to console himself of the death of his twin sister, but that's not the popular version. No, he didn't drown. He was staring at his reflection and he couldn't take his eyes off himself. So he sat there all day, all night, just staring into his reflection. And he died of starvation, dehydration, natural causes type shit. Well, things that happen in the environment. He could have froze to death. And didn't say if it was the winter or the summer. Well, no, it said spring. Okay. Please don't be fighting in that room because I don't want to have to come in there. Okay, so we're going to talk about Leto. She's the mother of Apollo and Artemis, and she's a representation of motherhood. But she suffered a lot in order to give birth, and she suffered many misfortunes because of her relationship with Zeus, which caused Hera's jealousy and cursed Leto to not find a stable place on earth to deliver her children. And that's how the island of Delos emerged. It was a floating island. So this was like a loophole. So Leto was the daughter of Titans Kronos and Phoebe. She had some supernatural powers herself, but only a few compared to the Olympian gods. Leto is mostly famous because of her relationship with Zeus, which resulted in giving birth to two divine children who would later be considered amongst the 12 Olympian gods, Artemis and Apollo. Everything started when Hera found out that Leto was pregnant by her husband Zeus. Furious and ashamed of this betrayal from Zeus, she cursed Leto to not find a solid ground or island on earth that would to give birth to her children. Leto, in labor and great pain, had wandered all around Greece to find a place to give birth, but people didn't let her bear her children close to their homes, afraid of Hera's anger. That is when Zeus emerged an island from the sea so that Leto could find refuge. This island was Delos, which was believed to be a floating island. One version of the myth says that Delos was uninhabited, while another says at first the inhabitants of Delos didn't want Leto on their land until she made them a great gift. The anchor Delius at the bottom of the I know how to say this word, but argue no Aegean Sea with four anchors to give the island stability. I'm getting so tongue tied. Okay, so Leto found safe refuge to give birth on Delos, which was surrounded by swans. The delivery of Artemis was painless, but the birth of Apollo lasted for 9 whole days and nights because Hera had kidnapped Eileithyia, the goddess of childbirth, preventing Leto from having an easy and painless labor. It is said that with the absence of Eileithyia, Artemis was the one to help her mother deliver her twin brother Apollo. The delivery took place under a palm tree. Indeed, there was a palm tree today on Delos that ancient Greeks planted to commemorate the birth of the god. So, yeah, she couldn't give birth. And then she had to go through labor for 9 whole days after the first one. Girl, 9 days. It's crazy. I couldn't do it. But Zeus, he always come and save his hoes. That's one thing about Zeus. He gonna be Captain Save a hoe. Okay, so I know y'all have at least heard, the children's version of this of King Midas and his golden touch, but it is Greek mythology. So Midas was a king of great fortune who ruled the country of Phrygia and in Asia Minor. He had everything a king could wish for. He lived in luxury in a great castle. He shared his life of abundance with his beautiful daughter. Even though he was very rich, Midas thought that his greatest happiness was provided by gold. His avarice was such that he used to spend his days counting his gold coins. Occasionally, he would cover his body with gold objects as if he wanted to bathe in them. Money was his obsession. So old boy didn't really give a fuck about his daughter. He was not chilling with her. He was not paying attention to her. He said these gold coins is more interested than you, sweetheart. So one day Dionysus, the son of Zeus, who he sold into his thigh, he became a god. The god of wine and revelry passed through the kingdom of Midas. One of his companions, a satyr named Silenus, got delayed along the way. Silesius got tired and decided to take a nap in the famous rose garden surrounding the palace of King Midas. There he was found by the king, who recognized him instantly and invited him in to spend a few days at his palace. After that, Midas took him to Dionysus. The god of celebration was very grateful to Midas for his kindness, promised Midas to satisfy any wish of him. Midas thought for a while, and then he said, I hope that everything I touch becomes gold. Dionysus warned the king to think well about his wish, but Midas was positive. Dionysus could do nothing else and promised the king that from that following day, everything he touched would turn to gold. So he said, I'm not gonna wish for no food for my people. I'm not gonna wish for the happiness of my daughter. I'm not gonna wish for none of that. I want some more gold, big dog. I want some more gold. So the next day, Midas woke up eager to see if his wish had become true. He extended his arm, touching a small table that immediately turned to gold. Midas jumped with happiness. He then touched a chair, the carpet, the door, his bathtub, a table, and so he kept on running in his madness all over his palace until he got exhausted and happy at the same time. He sat at the table to have breakfast and took a rose between his hands to smell its fragrance. When he touched it, the rose became gold. I would have to absorb the fragrance without touching the roses, I suppose, he thought in disappointment. Without thinking, he ate a grape, but it also turned into gold. The same happened with a slice of bread and a glass of water. Suddenly, he started to sense fear. Tears filled his eyes. In that moment, his beloved daughter entered the room. When Midas hugged her, she turned into a golden statue. Despaired and fearful, he raised his arms and prayed to Dionysus to take this curse from him. So, oh boy, being greedy and shit, you know, then turned his daughter to damn gold, then killed his daughter, bro. That's crazy. So, the god heard Midas and felt sorry for him. He told Midas to go down to the river Pactolus and wash his hands. Midas did so. He ran to the river and was astonished to see gold flowing from his hands. The ancient Greeks said they had found the gold on the banks of the river Pactolus. When he returned home, everything Midas had touched had become normal again. He hugged his daughter in full happiness and decided to share his great fortune with his people. From now on, Midas became a better person, generous and grateful for all the goods of his life. His people led a prosperous life, and when he died, they all mourned for their beloved king. So, old boy had to have a change of heart after that shit. He had to have a change of heart. Facts, Queen Cascade, because everything that has to do with Zeus and Hera, it always sounds like something off of motherfucking Jerry Springer. Because she always be smiting bitches. Like, Hera smite a bitch in a heartbeat. Let's see. So, let's get back to Hera, old spiteful ass. So, Hera is the stepmother and enemy of Hercules. The name Hercules means glory of Hera, but she was like, fuck that shit. So, some girl named Almini, Almini was about to give birth to Hercules. Zeus announced to all the gods that on that day, a child by Zeus himself would be born and rule all those around him. Like, this nigga really just went up there and snitched on himself. He said, bro, I'm finna have a son, bro. And his wife was sitting there like, what, nigga? What did he say? Like, really? Stupid. So Hera, after requesting Zeus to swear an oath to that effect, so she said, put it on your mama, basically. Put it on your mama. So she descended from Olympus to Argos and made the wife of Sthenelus, son of Perseus, give birth to Eurystheus after only 7 months, while at the same time preventing Almini from delivering Hercules. So, in the last story I talked about, the goddess of childbirth and shit. So, because, they was giving birth at the same time, a bitch can't be in 2 places at one time. So, she delayed that shit. This resulted in the fulfillment of Zeus's oath in that it was Eurystheus rather than Hercules. Hera sent witches, as they were called by the Thebans, to hinder Alcmene's delivery of Hercules. The witches were successful in preventing the birth until Hysteris, daughter of Tereus, thought of a trick to deceive the witches. Like Galathenus, these names is crazy. Hysteris announced that Alcmene had delivered her child. Having been deceived, the witches went away, allowing Alcmene to give birth. Hera's wrath against Zeus's sons continues, and while Hercules is still an infant, Hera sends 2 serpents, not one but 2, to kill him as he lay in his cot. Hercules throttles the snakes with his bare hands, and it was found by his nurse playing with their limp bodies as if they were a child's toy. So, Hercules was like, try again, bitch. I'm strong. What you gonna do about it? So, on the account of the origin of the Milky Way is that Zeus had tricked Hera into nursing the infant Hercules. Discovered who he was, she pulled him from her breast, and a squirt of her milk formed the smear across the sky that can be seen to this day. So the stars are not balls of gas, y'all. It's breast milk. That's it. Unlike the Greeks, the Erythrians instead pictured a full-grown bearded Hercules at Hera's breast. This may refer to his adoption by her when he became immortal. He had previously wounded her severely in the breast. When Hercules reached adulthood, Hera drove him mad, which led him to murder his family, and this later led him to undertaking his famous labors. So he made the nigga crazy and had him kill all his folks. Everybody gotta go. I don't give a fuck if you did shit, you finna die too. So his whole family gone. Dead. What T.I. say? Dead and gone. Dead and gone. So they was out of here. So Hera assigned Hercules to labor for King Eurystheus at Mycene. She attempted to make almost all of Hercules' 12 labors more difficult. When he fought the Hydra, she sent a crab to bite at his feet in the hopes of distracting him. Bitch, like that's a minor inconvenience. Like he could just kick that bitch, but okay. Later, Hera stirred up the Amazons against him when he was on one of his quests. When Hercules took the cattle of Geron, he shot Hera in the right breast with a triple barred arrow. So he said, okay, bitch, hit you in the titty. The wound was incurable and left her in constant pain, as uh, Dion tells Aphrodite. Hera sent a gadfly to bite the cattle, irritate them, and scatter them. Hera then sent a flood, which raised the water level of a river so much that Hercules could not ford the river with the cattle. He piled stones into the river to make the water shallower. When he finally reached the court of Irtheus, the cattle were sacrificed to Hera. That's crazy. Did all the shit just to get it sacrificed to you. Eurydice also wanted to sacrifice the Cretan bull to Hera. She refused the sacrifice because it reflected glory on Hercules. The bull was released and wandered to Marathon, becoming known as the Marathonian bull. Some myth states that in the end, Hercules befriended Hera by saving her from Porphyrion, a giant who tried to grape her during the Gigantomarchy, and she even gave her daughter Hebe as his bride. Whatever myth making served to account for the archaic representation of Hercules as Hera's man, it was thought suitable for the builders of the Heraeon at Pastium to depict the exploits of Hercules in bias reliefs. So, at the end of the story, they became friends. And everything was Gucci. And yes, girl, breast milk stars. Don't cry over spilled milk, basically. Okay, this story, the judgment of Paris. A prophecy stated that the son of the sea nymph Thetis, with whom Zeus fell for after gazing upon her oceans off the Greek coast, would become greater than his father. Possibly for this reason, Thetis was betrothed to an elderly human king, Peleus, son of Acris, either upon Zeus's orders or because she wished to please Hera, who had raised her. So this bitch is Hera's like little stepdaughter. She raised you, and you slept with her husband. Dirty bitch. All the gods and goddesses, as well as various mortals, were invited to the marriage of this old man and Thetis, the eventual parents of Achilles, and brought many, as well as various brought many gifts. Only Eris, the goddess of discord, was not invited and was stopped at the door by Hermes on Zeus's order. They said, no, bitch, you got to roll. She was annoyed at this, so she threw from the door a gift of her own, a golden apple inscribed with the word, to the fairest. Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena all claimed to be the fairest, and thus the rightful owner of the motherfucking apple. The goddesses quarreled bitterly over it, and none of the other gods would venture an opinion favoring one for the fear of earning the enemy of the two. They chose to place this matter before Zeus, who, not wanting to favor one of the goddesses, put the choice in the hands of Paris, a Trojan prince. After bathing in the spring of Mount Ida, where Troy was situated, they appeared before Paris to have him choose. The goddesses undressed before him, either at his request or for the sake of winning. Still, Paris could not decide, as all three were ideally beautiful, so they resorted to bribes. Hera offered Paris political power and control of all of Asia, while Athena offered him wisdom, fame, and glory in battle, and Aphrodite offered him the most beautiful mortal woman in the world as his wife. And accordingly, he chose her. So, he was like, okay, fuck the pain, fuck the fame, the glory, the wisdom, motherfucking political power, and control of all of Asia. I want a bitch. Thank you. So this woman was Helen, who was unfortunately for Paris already married to King Menelaus of Sparta. The other two goddesses were enraged by this, and through Helen's abduction by Paris, they brought about the Trojan War. So this dude started a whole motherfucking war over a bitch. Yeah, crazy. Over a slab of coolie. Yeah, it does kind of sound like the original Snow White. Okay, let's see. I want to go over the story of Achilles, which is, your Achilles tendon in your heel or whatever. But I don't want to read the long story because it's like hella pages long. We're gonna have to make a whole what's your face stream for him because his shit long. And I remember when I was first doing my streams, right, and I was talking about the Greeks, right, and like how the folks was born. What's his name? Aratazar. He come up here talking about something. The guys can't commit incest, bro. Yes, they can. Like, what type of sense do they make? They know they fucking their sister, bro. They be like, oh damn, my sister a bad bitch. I got to smash that. That's incest, bro. Ain't no way around it. Cat, get your paw back in that room. Playing under the door. But yeah, like they can commit what we commit. Do when they go and smite people, do we just not call it murder? It's murder, bro. They killing folks. Are you just not dead? You like Styphus. You left your body unburied and no sacrifices, so you came back. Queen Cascade, yes. Zeus slept with everybody. He married his real sister, so a half sister ain't nothing to it. He slept with everybody. And that's probably why Zeus really only had sons and never had no daughters. Because I don't think they would be safe neither. You know who I think is really cool? Motherfucking Hermes. This dude, on the first day of his birth, the day he was born, right? So, first off, Hermes is the son of Zeus and a mountain nymph named Mia. So, Mia gave birth to Hermes in a mountain cave. And, she went to sleep because she was tired as fuck. This man is literally 5 minutes old, and he snuck away and stole some motherfucking cattle from Apollo. 10 minutes old, and he already out here stealing whole herds of cattle. So on his way back to the cave, Hermes found a tortoise and invented the lyre, a stringed musical instrument from its shell. And he out here killing turtles and shit, bro. Because if you took out here killing turtles on the way back home. So Apollo later found out about the theft and demanded his cattle back. When Apollo approached Hermes began to play the lyre. Apollo was so impressed, he let Hermes keep the cattle in return for the lyre. So he made this nigga give up all his cows for a toy, a musical instrument made out of a damn turtle he killed. He's a turtle murderer. Okay. So we all know that Hermes, of course, is the messenger god. He got the wings on his shoes and shit. He be, delivering the mail messages, all that other type shit. He's an inventor, you know. He's the god of invention. He's accredited with a number of inventions, including the Greek alphabet, numbers, music, boxing, gymnastics, astronomy, and in some tales fire. So he's also a trickster because he out here stealing cows at 5 minutes old. So he's also known as the trickster god. So he don't use like strength to win battles, but he be using tricks. So whenever Zeus needed something or someone retrieved, he would send the trickster Hermes. Like in the last story, I was talking about how he sent Hermes to go steal one of his side bitches back who got turned into a cow. But that's crazy. You stole your side bitch back just to turn into a cow yourself and have cow sex. That's some wild shit. You couldn't get a bitch back her body. So you said, you know what? I'm gonna turn into a cow. And we still gonna get it on. So that's bestiality, fam. But okay. So Zeus sent him to steal the sinews of Zeus back from the monster Typhoon. Hermes also helped the god Ares to secretly escape from some giants. So yeah, that's Hermes for you. But yeah, you couldn't get a bitch back her body, fam. You was just like, this your new body. Fuck you mean? Okay, so it's not the whole story though. Let me go back to the main page. But I want to go to the story of Calypso. So Calypso is basically she like a nymph or whatever, but she's the daughter of Atlas or whatever. And of course, during the Titan War or whatever, she fought on the side of her daddy. The fuck? That's what she supposed to do. She said, I'm on my daddy's side. Okay. So this a little summary basically. This one's small. I'm looking for the longer version, but so you can see Calypso in Homer's Odyssey during, when Odysseus had to take that long ass Odyssey just to get back to his wife after the Trojan War that this nigga started over a bitch. But so Calypso attempts to keep the fabled Greek hero Odysseus on her island to make him her immortal husband, while he also gets to enjoy her sensual pleasures forever. So, the curse of Calypso, bro. So, she was on this little island called Ogea, right? And she couldn't leave that bitch. She couldn't go nowhere. But every few years or whatever, every few thousand years, the motherfucking gods would send like a hero to her island And she like by the curse, by terms of the curse, she would fall in love with them, but none of them would ever be able to stay. That's some crazy ass shit, bro. Eternal heartbreak. Her punishment was eternal heartbreak, bro. But Calypso enchants Odysseus with her singing as she moves to and fro, weaving her loom with a golden shuttle. Odysseus comes to wish for circumstances to change. He can no longer bear being separated from his wife Penelope and wants to tell Calypso. He is seen sitting on a headland crying, and at night he is forced to sleep with her against his will. So she said, fuck that nigga. Grape. So his patron goddess Athena asks Zeus to order the release of Odysseus from the island. Zeus orders the messenger Hermes to tell Calypso to set Odysseus free, for it was not Odysseus' destiny to live with her forever. She angrily comments on how the gods hate goddesses having affairs with mortals. Calypso provides Odysseus with an axe, drill, and a days to build a boat. Calypso leads Odysseus to an island where he can chop down trees and make plants for his boat, or planks for his boat. Calypso also provides him with wine, bread, clothing, and more materials for his boat. The goddess then sets wind at his back when he sets a sail. After 7 years, Odysseus has built his boat and leaves Calypso. So, you know, he had the role. She was like, "You gonna stay here forever?" And he was like, "I really don't want to do that, but if you're gonna make me." And then Zeus was like, "Nah, let the nigga go. He not supposed to be here with you, big dog. Let him go. Let my people go." And once again, if you read like Percy Jackson, right? And you get towards like the second half of the Percy Jackson books, because the first half is you got the lightning thief all the way up to what the war or whatever, where Percy's 16 now, and he has to he's either the fall of the gods or the victory of the gods against Luke. But the second half, you got Camp Jupiter, which is the Roman version of Camp Half Blood. And they have to team up to save the world again. And Percy and Annabeth end up getting sent to Tartarus and all this other shit. But so in the process, one of the Roman boys, his name is Leo, there was like a fire and an explosion, right? And he got tossed across the air. Like what you see on Pokemon when they hit folks into the sky and shit and it go ding. Like he was gone. And his friends was like, "What the fuck? Where is Leo? Where'd he go?" And they couldn't find his ass. Whole time this nigga got sent all the way across the world and onto Calypso's island, right? And of course, she fall in love with him. But the thing about it is, Leo's single and ready to mingle, big dog. He ain't got no bitches. So he fall in love with Calypso. And he was like, I'm gonna stay right the fuck here, bro. I'm not going nowhere. But then, he got word from his friends or whatever, because there was like, they need help and all that other shit. So he said, "Damn, bitch, I gotta go. But guess what? I'ma come back for you, though." And, Calypso was upset. And she was like, "Nah, you probably not. You gonna forget about me. Fuck that shit. I'm not gonna get my hopes up." So at the very end of the second half of the Percy Jackson books, right? Calypso, she finally get released from the island because, they appealed to the gods. He did that. I think he had asked Zeus to drop her curse. Because, the bitch been cursed for like eons. Drop that shit. Fuck. But, so he got this flying mechanical dragon joint, right? And he go pick his bitch up. Fuck you talking about? So they end up together. I was happy for her. I was like, you deserve it, love. But yeah, that shit was funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but yeah, that shit was wild. Right, Queen Cascade. Gonna tell Calypso she gotta let Odysseus go, but got a whole cow bitch. And then let me see. In Percy Jackson, another interesting storyline was Nico. And you like Nico's story doesn't come full circle until the second half of the Percy Jackson books because he's introduced in the first half. And so, Nico and his sister Rena, they're children of Hades, right? And they would have been the children of the prophecy. Because so basically children of the prophecy in the Percy Jackson world are children of the big three, which is Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. They ain't supposed to have no more mortal children. So they made a pact to not have no more mortal children. And Poseidon was really the only one who really gave a fuck about the pact. And when he got married, he was pretty, I don't know, he was pretty chill. So he the only one that really gave a fuck about the pact. Oh no, I'm lying. He had Percy. But he gave a fuck about the pact first. Zeus wasn't really good because, he had a whole bunch of other fucking kids. And then it was just like he really didn't give a fuck and his kids ended up dying. So, like Zeus, he ended up having 2 kids recently. He had one in the Roman camp, Jason, and he had one in the Greek camp. What's her name? Thyla. But what happened to Thyla would have been a child of prophecy too. But what happened to Thyla was she got turned into a motherfucking tree. So Thyla and Annabeth was on the way to Camp Half Blood, for the first time. And Annabeth was like 7. Thyla was like, preteen. And, within the universe, the kids, they are like, they attract monsters and shit because they can smell their bloodline. And, Annabeth had to run away from home type shit. So, she linked up with Thyla. They like right outside Camp Half Blood and they running up the fucking hill. And Thyla realized she needed to try to hold the monsters back. And she let Annabeth keep running and she trying to save Annabeth. And the monsters got her, killed her, and Zeus sent lightning down and turned the bitch into a tree. So, she was still that same age. So she couldn't be child of prophecy. So you got the children of the big three, and Percy was the oldest because he was older than Jason. And Hades' kids, Nico and Rhina, they were born way earlier than Percy, like segregation time, and they were black. And so Hades had took his family to the Lotus Hotel. And so in Greek myth, the lotus, it is a flower that you eat or drink or whatever, and it basically like stops time for you, and you're like in a perpetual state of like party. So the Lotus Hotel is the basically when you step foot in the hotel, bro, you don't age, you don't sleep, bro. It's what feels like hours is really decades. So they born back then, and whole time Nico is in the closet, bro. And born when he born, he can't tell, he can't just say the nigga in the closet. But old boy in the motherfucking closet. His sister, once they got freed by Percy or whatever, and they went back to Camp Half Blood, his sister went off with Artemis because she could have been the child of prophecy too. But what she did was she became a goddess of the hunt. So she swore off all a company of men. She still was friends with Percy, but they didn't see each other like that. When they did, they was on missions, and they was still cool type shit. But no, she's the eternal maiden. She ended up dying. I think she got stabbed by like a scorpion or some shit. I can go to this story too. But Nico, upset about her dying, and he on the down low, and him and Percy beefing because everybody thinking that Nico wanted to be with Annabeth. Whole time, Nico was crushing on Percy. And he was jealous of Annabeth that she got to be with him. And so he was beefing with Percy because, it was like he in the closet, he don't know how to express his feelings type shit. And he like, you got to stay the fuck away from me, bitch. And so, you know, after his sister died, he like became obsessed with bringing her back to life and yada yada yada. Long story short, with that, she bathed in the river Styx because she wanted her brother to stop being crazy about her, and that erases their memory, and uh, she like start over in life. But so he so obsessed with his sister. That's all he doing. And then once she do that, he starts slinking into the fucking shadows and shit. And he a depressed baby, but he doing his own thing. And he come back to Camp Half Blood every once in a while. But when the second war was coming against Tartarus, because like all that shit was acting crazy, and the gates of hell were open. But he had to go get something from Euros or Eros, who is also known as Cupid. But like I said, Cupid is the ugly side of love. And so in order to get what he needed, he forced Nico to talk about his true feelings type shit in front of, and Jason was with him. That was his battle buddy at the time. And Jason was with him, and he was like, what the fuck is going on? Like Nico was in that bitch crying, bawling, snotting. And he was like, if you like Annabeth, bro, just say it. He was like, no, bitch, I like Percy. I like Dick. And Jason was like, whoa, okay, man. But so they got what they needed, and he made Jason be like, hey, nah, hey nigga, you can't say shit about what the fuck you just heard. You gonna keep that shit quiet. But no, I thought this story was cute or whatever because in the end he does talk about like his feelings for Percy and shit, and he kind of like let the shit go basically. But that was a nice storyline. I like that one. What's another good storyline for Percy Jackson? I forget the girl's name, but I know it began with an H. They were also from the Roman camp. It's her and this boy named Frank. And Frank is a child of Hephaestus. And Hephaestus is butt fucking ugly. But Frank wasn't really that ugly. He was like a Mexican or whatever. He was really kind of like cute. And so, old girl, he had a crush. So, the thing about Frank was, Hephaestus, the god of fire, all that type shit. He cannot be set on fire or whatever. He can't die from fire and shit like that, burning. But a lot of the shit that he touch can ignite. So if he's not careful, he caused fires and shit. So his mama was a motherfucking mechanic, hard working ass bitch. You know what I'm saying? Boss bitch. She was a motherfucking mechanic. And her and Frank used to tinker around with shit. But he accidentally set the house on fire and killed her. And Frank has this like little piece of wood that he has to protect with his life because if the wood burn up, he gonna die. And so he ended up, oh, Hazel, that's her name. He ended up falling in love with this girl named Hazel. And they got a cute little relationship. They got together quicker than Annabeth and Percy. Had a cute little relationship or whatever. And like, towards the end, he gives her, or no, in the middle of the journey, he gives her his plank of wood because it's a prophecy or whatever that he's gonna burn his wood up. And I mean, it does happen, but not how like he thought or whatever. His wood does get burned up a little bit, but not too much. But so that's why he get. It was cute though. It was adorable. Yeah, Queen Cascade. Old boy was an arsonist. So and then I also like the character Piper from. So when it comes to the Roman part of Percy Jackson, the reason why all this shit is crossing is what happened. I think it was the Fates or something. So after the whole war, with Luke and shit, and they had a in the first half, right? Percy fucking disappears, bro, and has no fucking memory of him. Don't nobody know where the fuck he at. Annabelle don't know where the fuck, they've been in a relationship for a minute. Don't know where the fuck he at. Ain't heard from him. Folks thinking he dead, he gone. They like, what the fuck? But that also happened to the children of the second prophecy in the Roman camps. So Percy and Jason got switched. Was it just Percy and Jason? Yeah, I think it was, just Percy and Jason. They ended up getting switched. So Percy ended up at the Roman camp. Jason ended up at the Greek camp. And the reason why this is one, for me, it's still a big issue at the beginning. So in the first half, Percy, in order to like defeat the Olympians or whatever, I mean, not the Olympians, Luke and the Titans, within that storyline, Percy had to go to the river Styx in the underworld and he had to bathe in it, right? And as I said with Achilles, he did the same thing, and that's how he became invincible, except for that one spot on his heel. But he had to bathe in the river Styx. And in order to survive, you have to have something that you are very passionate about in your life that makes you want to live, that gives you that drive to live. And for Percy, it was Annabeth, and it manifested in a small spot in the lower half of his back, which is the only place that he can be stabbed, cut, or, and he die. He gonna die. Ain't no just, it's a paper cut right there, it'll heal. That shit get cut, you dead, big dog. And so I think Annabeth ended up taking like a spear for him or some shit because Luke almost got him in that spot. But so in order to enter the Roman camp, you gotta bathe in this river. I forgot what it's called, but it's two rivers. Like that, it bathes you, takes all like the dirty shit off, and the first and second one like enters you into the camp. But with him bathing in that motherfucking river, right? Whole time the nigga been chased by herpes, bro. Not herpes, harpies, which is like these fury things. And they're like, why the fuck can't we scratch this nigga? Like, what the fuck? We've been attacking him like all these fucking months he been walking and shit. And we can't land out one blow on this nigga. But one of the harpies ended up figuring out, which where they needed to go, but it became too late. So as you know, all the camps got a barrier around them to keep, baddies out of the camps. So when he crossed that barrier, he was cool. But the river or whatever, it washed away his gifts from the Styx. So, Percy became vulnerable again. I didn't like that. I was like, damn, I had to bathe in the river again. Oh, God. I would go back and bathe in that hole. Because I'm not going to keep being vulnerable. What are you talking about? But yeah, that storyline was crazy because, like, even when he met back up with Annabeth and even when Jason met back up with the folks on his side, they still didn't remember. Like, it wasn't a matter of once he see them, they gonna remember. Like, it was a whole thing about, them trying to get their memories back, and they end up getting them back. I think they got it back from Hera. But yeah, it was a whole thing. But Annabeth was mad as fuck when she seen him. She dazed, so they end up going to camp, the Roman camp Jupiter. I forgot for what. And she seen Percy, and Percy was low key falling for this other girl at Camp Jupiter. She was like one of the head judges, and he was like, not even low key, he was like high key falling for her, and she was like in her bag. So that crossed into the cheating territory because he don't remember Annabeth. And so, that's a whole issue too. But when Annabeth seen him, she went plumb the fuck off and started like smacking him and she was like, where the fuck you been? You ain't called me. Like, and he was like, who is this bitch? And the old girl was like, who is this bitch? So, love triangle, that shit was wild. I was so glad when that shit was over because I was like, Percy, you need to remember that is not your bitch. Because how we wishing for Annabeth and Percy to get together for like 5 books, finally get it, and now he don't remember her. Like, come on, bro. And then like another storyline that I really wish was explored more. So Persephone in Percy Jackson world, she ain't never grow to love Hades. So every time she always like, man, this nigga kidnapped me. And in the movie, Sis was black. She was a baddie. You know what I'm saying? So, she like, this nigga done kidnapped me and I can only see my mama 6 months after a year. Like, the bitch got resentment, right? So Percy, Annabeth, and Grover end up having to go to Hades to retrieve the lightning bolt from Zeus and shit and return it. So, the lightning thief, all that shit happened in the first book because, there's more story. But so, he like, I'm gonna return it. This them, figuring out, oh, it was Luke, Hermes' son, who actually stole the lightning bolt and framed me for it, type shit. So, they go down to hell trying to get it from Hades, trying to figure out what the fuck going on. Whole time, Persephone got eyes for Grover. She like, So, it's one of, I think Percy Jackson is the only story where Persephone cheats on Hades, because in most stories, like Greek mythology stories, Persephone, she ended up growing to love Hades and she's very committed to him. But she eyeing this satyr, this half man, half a goat, and she like, you look scrumptious, you look good. So so they end up knocking Hades out with the lightning bolt. So he was knocked out for a few days, and so was it a few days or was it a few books? I think it was a few books. But Grover would go down to hell and go smash on Persephone while, Hades was out of it. Like, that was some crazy ass shit. I wish that storyline could have been explored, like, some, because that shit would have been hilarious. But, I like that for Grover. That was my boy. And you know what? When I was reading the books, when you read the descriptions of characters and you think they fine, I just knew Grover had to be fine, bro. I just knew Grover had to be fine. And just for Persephone to be smashing on him, my shit was validated. I was like, I knew that nigga was fine. And then for him to be played by Bernie T. Jackson in the movie, I was like, damn, I knew he was fine. I really knew it. I called that shit. But let's see, what's another crazy storyline? Because like, those storylines was real fucking good. I love me some Percy Jackson. The author Rick Riordan, he got the Percy Jackson books, which is Greek. You got the Camp Jupiter ones, which is the Romans, and then he did the Norse. That shit was live, and he did the Egyptians too. Yeah, you had the Egyptian kids and their gods and shit. That shit was live. But the Vikings, bro. So like, within the Egyptian one, I think that's the book when like the demigods realized that it's not just Greeks. Like when the Greeks and Romans went at it, they was like, okay, it's just us, because the Greek gods are literally the same as the Roman gods. They just, so that makes sense that it would be Greek and Roman. But that's when they realized, damn, all of us in this bitch, like all of us. So it's really not into the notion that all religions are real. On me, Queen Cascade, there was the vibe Persephone was giving off. But so, but yeah, them got some really good ass fucking stories, some crazy ass shit, some good shit. But yeah, that's really what made me be like, what if all religions do exist and you just go to your respective religion? Bro, let me go over there with the Greeks. But all of them was pretty lit. The Norse one was pretty live. I like the explanation of the tree. The tree of life. They got the different universes on it. I just thought it was crazy how the main character in the North, like from the jump, first few chapters, no, first few pages into the book, right? The main character, that nigga dead. That nigga is dead. Bro is a spirit out here fulfilling prophecy. Dude is dead. I was like, when I was reading that shit, I said, I know this nigga ain't died in the first 3 pages. How the fuck you a prophecy child? You died in the first 3 pages. I don't know. I thought that shit was wild. I was like, this nigga really dead. What the fuck are you doing, sir? I thought that hoe was gonna be trash. Whole time, shit was gold. And I really wish he would write some more. Like, write some more shit. And Percy Jackson really could have been America's Harry Potter. Had they done that shit right, could have been America's Harry Potter. Like what's his name? Logan. I can't remember his last name. He's Logan, the dude who played Percy. I feel like for the look, the aesthetic of Percy, he was perfect, right? However, old boy, he just wasn't young enough. Because when the Percy Jackson book started, Percy wasn't shit but 13, 12, 13. He was a freshman in high school. He's not a senior until what, the last book? The book before last? And so had they done a casting right, like with Harry Potter, casting age appropriate kids and shit. That's the problem with America. Every time they want to adapt a book thing, they fucking don't have the age appropriate kids. But age appropriate kids. The girl who played Annabelle, I did like her. Now, in the first movie, the only reason why I didn't like her is because in the book, Annabelle is a motherfucking blonde. She is not no fucking brunette. The children of Athena are blonde. Why the hell? And she got gray eyes. Why the hell you got this brunette with brown eyes up on this motherfucking screen? Now, for the second book, they changed it, which I loved. But I was like, the second movie, they changed it. But sis, pay attention to detail. Pay motherfucking attention to detail. And of course, Brandon C. Jackson was way too old for the role of Grover, even though Grover was older than them. Like, still, like, I feel like, somebody around the age of like 16, 17 should play Grover. But, Grover, he was an adult, but I don't know. I think they should have did better with the casting. And then with the Sea of Monsters, they kind of like changed the ending, and I really wasn't feeling it. A lot of people weren't feeling it, but had they done it right, like they really could have made Percy Jackson Harry Potter, like America's Harry Potter. And they could have had so many spin-offs. Because like when you get through all, both first and second half, right? You have so many characters and storylines that you can explore. Like we know Leo and Calypso ended up together, bro. But there's no detail. Like, we just know he go back to get her. But there's no detail. Like y'all can have a storyline, a whole series about like they got these trials and tribulations they got to go through to be together, and we don't physically see him go pick her up either. We see him fly off into the sky to go get her. So you could give him a whole fucking quest like Odysseus and have him go on a whole fucking 12 trials and shit like Hercules to get his girl. Like, that's some shit I don't want to see. Then you got Jason and Piper, son of Zeus. Piper is daughter of Aphrodite. Piper's story was good. So, Piper, she had a rich dad who really just wasn't there for real. And I think her stepmom was mean as fuck. But so all the children of Aphrodite have this power of charm. But Piper's was the strongest. When she got to Camp Half Blood, being a newbie, folks was trying to bully her. And whoever has the strongest charm is the leader of the house, basically. And so her charm outweighed old girl's charm. And so, she had prophecies, and she was that bitch. She was the it girl. And so, she was a trouble kid. Like, she used to steal shit, but she would use her charm to get out of it. But her and Jason ended up together, and that would be a nice storyline to say too, because they had issues where Piper's dad really was just a dickhead, and it's just a lot of shit. Like, we could go into that. We can go into Annabelle's backstory with her parents and shit with her dad, and I think her stepmom didn't fuck with her. Even with Harry Potter, like in the Deathly Hallows, we see that Hermione goes to her parents' house and erases the memories of them, so they never know that they had her, to protect her from the Death Eaters and shit. But it's never resolved. Like, it could really be a spin-off on Hermione, getting her parents back type shit. Like, it's just certain things where like we want to see more from different characters. And like at that point, the spin-offs, you can go off the book and create new shit. Like add on to a universe people already love, but with new storylines. Like with Harry Potter, we got the magical beast giant, that's really going into the backstory of like Dumbledore and shit. But like I don't know, we should do more. Like I love reading like fan fictions of certain characters and shit. Even like, what we call in our community limits, which is like, like sexualized stories between gods and the demigods and shit like that. And I think it's a lot of gay men too. Like, and one Hades ended up sleeping with Percy. That one was crazy. But yeah, those are good too. I like those. It's like interesting takes on certain things. Cause in the Percy Jackson realm, Hades ain't never really fucked with Percy like that. And then Twilight, aren't they doing the story of Renesmee? I don't like that fucking name. Like Renesmee, bitch. Where did you think that shit up from? Please make it make sense. And one thing I want to understand, the writer of 50 Shades of Grey. How the fuck? So 50 Shades of Grey started off as a fan fiction on Wattpad from Twilight. How the fuck do we make 50 Shades of Grey into Twilight, bro? Like, what was going through your mind when you read Twilight, sis? That's what I want to know. What you had going through your mind to get 50 Shades of Grey from Twilight? I don't know. Like, some shit be crazy, bro. I just want to see. Like, I really want somebody to ask that on an interview. Like, what inspired you to write it? Who gives a fuck? What the fuck was going through your mind for you to go in that fucking direction off of inspiration of a book like this? You need to ask the real questions, the deep questions. Yeah, the first we want to ask this surface level shit. Nah, bitch, I need answers. What else? Mm, I think Percy ended up going to Calypso's island too at one point in time, if I'm not mistaken. And he ended up leaving her too. I was like, damn. And that was like the closest heartbreak she had was, first she had Percy, then she had Leo, but Leo went back for her. But the last heartbreak she had was like centuries ago. So right, Queen, you never know because folks' imaginations really be wild. It really be wild. But no, I thought 50 Shades of Grey was pretty cool. The book was really good. I like the 50 Shades books. Now with the movies, right? So so the girl who played, what's her name? Anna. First off, y'all couldn't choose no prettier bitch. Because 50 Shades of Grey wasn't about Anna being ugly, bro. Anna was actually a bad bitch, but didn't know that she was cute. Like, y'all couldn't choose a prettier woman? Like, come on now, big dog, because that lady was not cute. And the dude they chose for Grey, I'm like, damn. You really think them two go together? Like, no, ma'am. Put that shit back on the shelf and try again. But yeah, he was fine. Dude who played Grey, fine as fuck. But like, I was reading articles and news stories about how women was getting caught masturbating in the movie theater watching 50 Shades of Grey and Magic Mike. Fam, for what? For what? The movie isn't even, it don't even touch on a lot of shit that was going on in 50 Shades of Grey. That was just it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't like portray like the scenes accurately. Like, I don't know, it's too fucking soft, bro. Too soft. So is Magic Mike, cause like we Magic Mike, we watching this nigga life story outside of the strip club. That's not what we came to see. We came to see Channing Tatum naked. Fix it. Fix it. We didn't come to see to see him fall in love with no bitch. We didn't come to know his life with his homeboys and his family and all that shit. And like, we don't give a fuck about that. If Channing Tatum and Strip Club is the same fucking movie, we coming to see Channing Tatum's. We coming to see what we coming to see, bro. That's not what we want to see. I don't know. Like, I don't know. When I heard this shit, I was like, how the fuck are y'all masturbating to this shit? Like, what about this is even is not there? It's just not it. It's not it. I was like, you bitches is really down bad. You gotta be down bad. Because that was not it. Bro, Queen Cascade, an increase in babies after the book. Okay, I can see that because the book was there. Like, I didn't like how the movie cut out the bathtub scene, but the book was there. The film, an increase of babies after the film, bro. That film was not it. It was not. It was not giving what it's supposed to have gave. It was not giving. I don't know. The movie, she was not giving, but the book was giving. The book was giving. And then you had the crazy bitch in the second book that was like, I want him back, bitch. So I'm gonna kill you. It was just like, okay, bitch, like, go sit down. And then I like the scene with Anna and Gray. I think it's in the last movie where, like, they looking to buy a house, right? And the realtor obviously either just been pining for Gray or gotta be fucking, because Gray done fucked everybody in his life, but had to be fucking. And the bitch was like touching on his shoulder and was calling him Mr. Gray and all, just being all types of wild, not playing her role out of her space, out of her place, in the wrong lane. And Anna had to tell her, okay, bitch, hold on, wait a second, ho. I'll beat the fuck out you. You might want to go sit down somewhere before I take all your pay, bitch. And you can call me Mrs. Gray, not Anna. I was like, yes, bitch. Put her in her place. Because she way out of line. This man is married and he ain't hit you up since. Play your role. You are just a realtor. That shit was wild. And then what? The books How to Train Your Dragon. I hate that motherfucking movie. I hate the movies. I hate the series. I hate everything about How to Train Your Dragon that is not the books. I hate everything about it. First off, the characters. Let's get on the people first, right? Hiccup was not given what he was supposed to give. The books on How to Train Your Dragon, right? They got pictures in the joint. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all. Let me see if I can find it. See. I found some. Here we go. DreamWorks just out here fucking shit up. DreamWorks, y'all need to take a fucking break. But let me show y'all this shit. Because These folks got, I already got a whole guideline to follow. So this is Toothless. This is what Toothless supposed to look like. This is Toothless. He is a little baby ass green dragon. He is not no big black dragon that got teeth hidden in his gums. Toothless ain't got not nan tooth in his motherfucking mouth. He look like somebody grandpa. And then here, this is Hiccup, right? This is Hiccup. Look at him. Where that laid hair? Huh? Cause I don't see laid hair. I see scraggly sparks, bro. Then you got fish legs. Here go fish legs, the best friend, right? And here go the mean dudes, the bullies. You got dog's breath, snot loud, and Alvin. How the fuck you got friends named dog's breath, snot loud, and your name Alvin, but you got Alvin? Where was these niggas at? Where was these niggas at? Where was they dragons? Huh? Well, here go pictures. Look, they show you how to sword fight in there, bitch. Like, baby. Then you got this dragon Doom Fangs. Look at him. Crazy. Hiccup and Toothless. Like, these do tooth look. Do these two look anywhere alike? Okay? No. And then secondly, they can motherfucking talk, bitch. They can talk. And Toothless stutter. He got a badass stutter and a lisp. And he a little slow. And yes, this is how he talk. He say they're only one, they're only one toothless, and that's me. Me, real toothless. No big, careless newt with wings, toothless. Me never lose my tail. Toothless is toothless. Me smarter. Me more savage. Me better drawn. Like, where did y'all get y'all design from? From that little green ass dragon, bro. That shit made me so fucking mad. Makes me mad. And then when we get into the story of the dragons, right? In the movie, these motherfuckers don't believe dragons exist. They scared of dragons and shit. They out here killing dragons, all this other shit. But in the books, right? Dragons are a big part of their fucking life. So they go. So when you in the little camp and shit, right? You go to the motherfucking cave at a certain age while you in school. You go to the motherfucking cave and you pick a dragon, bro. They ain't scared. That the dragons are their friends, bro, and they motherfucking talk. What are you talking about? So big plot error. I don't like that. Why they don't believe dragons exist in the movie, but it's a big part in the books, bro. Come on now. And then, okay, Hiccup Village ain't got no bitches. I don't know how all these kids was born, but it ain't no bitches. It ain't no girls in their class. None of that. Well, I do know how they got pregnant. They went to other villages and had babies with folks. And I guess once the woman had the kid, I guess they gave them all the sons. Because it's a village with all bitches. And there's a bitch there named Big Booby Bertha. And Big Booby Bertha was a big ass. Let me see if I can find her picture. Because she was a big ass bitch. And that's crazy. That was a kid's book. And you know what? I really ran through them books. So at my school, right, you got the AR books, and it tell you what age or grade level the book is. And so I read through all of the motherfucking How to Train Your Dragon books in first grade, but they was on a sixth grade reading level. So I was up there, and I used to read them hoes in like one night. Check it out. Sneak. I would sneak to read. So my punishment as a kid was that I couldn't read. But I used to sneak to read with a little motherfucking little book light and shit and a lamp. I read them hoes all night. So this right here is Big Booby Bertha. And her description says, these bosoms have killed before and they will kill again. You see this? She got her little beard on top of her boobs. And she from the Bog Burglars. And this is the girl, Kamikaze, right? You know, the blonde girl in the movie, her name Astridge. She took Kamikaze place. Whole time, Kamikaze is a way better motherfucking character, first off. Way better backstory. Way better like she just better overall. And if I'm not mistaken, her and Hiccup end up together in the end. But you got whole fucking bomb ass characters, bomb ass storylines, all this shit. Like whole time, whole book, whole series, Hiccup. I ain't never met his mama. He wanna know who the fuck his mama is, where the fuck she at, because his dad stole it. He's the chief of the clan. And he was married to Hiccup's mom. But something happened to her, she like disappeared. Whole time this bitch is trapped on the motherland island or whatever of the dragons. He ended up finding his mother like way later. Because when I was in first grade, all the books went out. I think maybe one through 7 or 8 was out, and so as I was getting older, they was coming out, and so my library they would get the books, and I would read them hoes. But after I got out of that school, the books were still releasing. And, I was out of elementary school, so I upgraded to bigger things. But his mama was on this motherfucking island the whole time. Like I don't know, it's just like some crazy ass shit in the books. And this way back, like Hiccup and Kamikaze, they got put in jail, and that was some crazy shit. What else? They was on like a ship traveling worlds, and it was like traveling different places because I forgot what the hell what the main mission was. I can't remember if the main mission was finding Hiccup. I don't think it was finding his mom. I think that was a side mission, but they had a main mission that they had to complete, and so that's what they were doing. But that shit was crazy. How to Train Your Dragon is so much better as a book. Like, if they wasn't gonna do it right, like just don't do it at all at this point. I hate when they be changing good ass books and like just completely change the shit. Like, let's see. Yep, the last How to Train Your Dragon book was released in 2013. And let's see. I want to say the last How to Train Dragon book I read was How to Break a Dragon's Heart. That was released in 2009, and that is book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. It's book 10. Let me see if I can find the main story. So the explanation of the story is just Hiccup overcomes great obstacles in his journey of becoming a hero. That actually might have been the storyline for real, because I think it's a motherfucking uh handbook on how to become a hero. I think, yeah, becoming a hero. I think there's a handbook in the book. But so, the book says How to Train Your Dragon, and it says written by Hiccup Horrendous Handoff the Third. So that's old boy whole name. So, it looked like, he wrote the book to make it, because it's a kid's book. And then at the bottom, it got the actual author's name. Carissa was her name, Cows. But I don't know, the books is live. That's something I would get for my kids and read that shit at nighttime. The books is live. But I really wish they would have just stick with the original storyline, because what the fuck? Yeah, let me see. I don't remember the girl dragon name either. But let me see who she replaced. I'm trying to see if, because I know he had a crush on a girl. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so yeah. So Toothless end up liking Kamikaze's dragon, Stormfly. So let me see if I can find Stormfly. Let me see if I can find her dragon. Cause in the movies, Stormfly is that ugly ass blue dragon that like that dragon ugly as fuck. Stormfly is this Astrich's dragon, and she ugly as fuck. Yep, here we go. The moon dragon. That's what she was. And Toothless had a crush on this. Like this dragon was a baddie. Like she was the baddest out of all the dragons, and that's who Toothless was with in the books. So this is Astrid. I mean, yeah, this is Stormfly in the book. And like it's really like how did Toothless little ugly green ass pull this? How did he pull this? And she was giving him all these little cute looks and stuff. Crazy. But this is Stormfly in the movie though. Like look at the difference. This ugly ass shit, you made this, you got that from this. This. Stormfly looked like a dragon off the Dragon Tales. And you turn her into this. That ticked me off. That made me angry. That made me want to start a fight. Because why? Because why? Why would you do that? You got a whole beautiful layout right here. And you said, no, we're just going to make her ugly. Like, you tripping. You're tripping. You are tripping. But yeah, they were tripping for that one. One series of books I couldn't really get into that all my friends was they like this book, Geronimo Stilton. So Geronimo Stilton is a mouse. He kind of like a mouse version of Sherlock Holmes, and he investigate cases and shit, and all these other shit. It's like some Scooby Doo, motherfucking Sherlock Holmes type shit, but he's a mouse. And all my homies was reading that shit like it was the best shit since sliced bread. And like the first time I read it, right, I was not feeling it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I put that shit down. And then on top of that, it didn't help that that book was way below my grade level. I'm in first and second grade reading on a middle school grade level. And that shit is like at a third grade level. Like that shit, I don't know, it wasn't hitting for me, right? But, you know, I tried, and like a couple of years later, I tried to read it again, still wasn't feeling it. And I think the third time I tried, I actually like could read some of them, and I think I got like 5 or 6 books in, cause like they're really small books. Like I could finish that shit in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, one book or a comic, it's actually a comic book. One comic book adaptation I would love to see is Bone. Bone was written by, what's his name? I know his first name is Jeff, but what's his name? His name is Jeff Smith. I'm gonna show y'all some pictures. So, with the Bone books, what I did was I read most of the books in my school, like when I was like checking the books out and shit from the library and in my school and shit and buying them. They were like out of order. So like I could never find like a whole collection of the books. But when they released the last book, they made this big book that has all the books in it. So I just bought that. I bought a hardback, and that's what I read to finish the entire story. Boy, I think it's like 12, 13 books. And so these bone creatures, right? So there's a world with people like us, right? And these bone creatures exist somewhere else. So like basically they really went through a portal because with the bone creatures. So you got Phony Bone, uh what's his brother name? Because I forget. Smiley Bone is the tall one. Phony Bone is the main character. And Phony and Phone. So you got Phone Bone, and Smiley Bone. So Smiley Bone is the taller one. He's a little slow, like he's like a redneck basically. Phony Bone is the one with the star on his shirt. And he was a little greedy little bastard. And Phone Bone was the brother with no clothes. But Phony Bone, I think he was the mayor in his town, or he was running for mayor or whatever. And he was the richest person in Boneville. He had all the money and shit. But he was like super fucking corrupt. He was like always doing like some just crazy wild shit that the other people didn't like. And so when he was running for office or whatever, like I forgot what the fuck he did. I think he broke like a statue or some shit. And so they ran them niggas out of town, right? And I mean, they chased them for weeks, like a long ass time. And so they had went across this desert. Whole time they still being chased by this mob of people from the town, going across this motherfucking desert. And like they end up in this wild, like jungle ass area, but they can't get back to Bone Town. Like they like went through like a fucking portal, and it's when like the town folks finally stopped chasing them. So they end up in this fucking lush ass forest. They walking around. They like, what the fuck is this? They end up getting separated or whatever. Because I think it was a storm, a dust storm or something. They end up pushing them there, but they end up being separated. So the first couple books, you following Phone Bone, and he's like he trying to find his brother, or no, his cousins. He trying to find his cousins, and he run into this girl named Thorn, which is the main character. So Thorn got this whole thing. Thorn is actually a secret princess. She don't know she a princess, and they got like certain powers, right? And it's these things. They just call them creatures. What are they called? The rat creatures. These motherfucking rat creatures. I ain't gonna lie to you. They gave me nightmares sometimes because it was some crazy ass shit. These are the rat creatures. And basically, rat creatures was like terrorizing the people and shit, and they were like trying to take over the world. And it was this thing called the Lord of the Wasp, I think, or the Locust. Yeah, the Locust King. And he was like this evil ass spirit. And so in the olden days, right, motherfucking Thorn's grandma, she was a princess or whatever. She had a twin sister, but her twin sister was like, she was like corrupt. Her name was Blair. You had Blair, and then you had Rose. And Blair was like low key corrupted, like the Lord of the Locusts. Yeah, Lord of the Locusts is what he is. He ended up like she ended up like working for him, and I think they ended up like being together. Like I don't know, like the way that their relationship is kind of like it seemed like she in love with him, like just like some, but on like a crazy type way. And so She led like this thing that killed her whole family, right? So the grandma had to go into hiding, and the grandma had a daughter, and the daughter, I think the daughter was grown. Yeah, she was a queen at this time, I believe. And Blair led this war or whatever, and the daughter and the father ended up being killed. And grandma took Thorn, and they had to go into hiding. And then it was this man named Lewis that was protecting them. And dragons and shit was around back then, but the dragons had all retreated underground after the war. So that's when people stopped believing that dragons exist. And Thorn's grandma was telling Thorn that yeah, dragons don't exist. So she was trying to hide her royal background. And so, the rat creatures, they know what's up with them. They've been following them. So this is the king of the rat creatures right here. His motherfucking ass, he was low key scary, and his name was King Doc. He was over here beating folks with the stick and shit, killing motherfuckers, attacking folks. These two red creatures, these motherfuckers was hilarious. So they was after the bone creatures because it was a prophecy that the bone with the star on his chest would defeat the Lotus King. Whole time it wasn't even. So that's phony bone. That's the greedy one. Whole time the prophecy wasn't even about him. The prophecy was about the brother Fawn Bone who fell in love with Thorn. That's what the prophecy was really about. But like this one, so this seemed crazy as fuck. So they had got Bone right, and they was like, "Okay, bitch, I'm hungry. I want to eat them. How we want to roast them. We want to put them in a stew." So this nigga that's screaming, he wanted to put him in a. I think he wanted to roast him, and he wanted a stew. And he was like, "Bro, if you don't make the stew, I ain't gonna help you." They get the argument. So that's what happened. If I end up, he ended up slipping away. And then with this rat creature right here, he ended up becoming good. So you see how these other rat creatures got horns, but they got ears. So in the rat creature form, they cut their ears off and horns grow in replace, and they cut off their tails. And so he didn't want his ears and shit to be cut off, and so he ran away. And so he ended up being on like the good side of the war. And then oopsies, did not mean to do that. Rockjaw, you got this tiger here. He a baddie. He's bad. He's not good. Rockjaw was not good, but he was low key annoying though. But so, Thorn find out her secret heritage and all that shit, and she's prophesized to beat the Lotus King. But Grandma trying to protect her, and she got all these powers she don't know about. And so they got like, so they travel right in these spaces, these circles or whatever. They put you in a different realm. But if you step on them, like if the wrong person step on them, you'll turn into ash. You'll die. You can't go through them. So like the rat creatures, when they trying to chase them through the circles, they die and shit. So like it's like that's a real deep thing. Like we'll have to do that another day. But the rat creature, she finding out her powers. Phone Bone actually end up getting a piece of her powers, so he can go through the portals too. So he ended up getting a piece of her powers, and they use their powers together to defeat, the Lord of the Locusts. But it's all about her finding out her truth, all like what they got to go through to get to where they get to like defeat the Lotus King and to defeat Blair, because Blair, like, so with the power, like, okay, for example, the Shine from The Shining. If y'all have read the sequel or seen the sequel, Doctor Sleep, that would be a more depiction of what the main antagonist was doing to the protagonist, like coming in her dreams and going into her mind. So that's what Blair was doing. She was like trying to go into her mind to like kind of possess her and shit like that. And so like it was just, I don't know, it was like some wild shit. Like I had to explain the storyline just for them. Let me see. And then Blair, she wasn't even like the twin sister of Rose. Let me see. See if I can Seek the crown of horns. I ain't gonna cap to you. Some of these, I don't know, some of the way that these pictures are drawn, they kind of creep me out and they give me like nightmares and shit. Like the picture I'm looking at, this one right here. So this is Thorn's mom, and I don't know. It's kind of fucking unsettling to me. Like I don't like it. Something about it. It's just And so this is Grandma Rose before she got old and ugly. And this is Grandma Rose old and ugly. Where is her sister? Because Blair, she was not cute to me. But this is Blair. She became the hooded one or whatever. Oh, it's not Blair, it's Briar. That's why it won't show me. Okay. But Briar, she wasn't even really that cute. Honestly, like where did so this is how she looked now after the motherfucking curse. After she hooked up with the Lord of Locusts and shit, and like basically she like low key immortal, but the bitch, she looked all decayed and shit. Cause I think she died and her body is decaying. I could have sworn she look at this shit. What the fuck is this? Like this picture really scared the fuck out of me. So this scene, Brer was like trying to possess a thorn. So that's already creepy. Like it's really sending chills down my spine right now. Like it's making me afraid. But but yeah, like I'm trying to find a picture of her when she was a young bitch because she wasn't even that cute. Like Rose was definitely the badder of the two sisters. Let me see if I type her last name with the picture come up. Because I don't know, it was just something about it was like her lines on her face. I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. It's like no sir. And I was like, God, fix it. Let's see. So this is Thorn. All of these pictures with the girl with the long red hair, that's Thorn. That's the main character. But I don't see the picture of old girl. Within the next couple days, I'll go get my book and take a picture of the picture of old girl and email it to myself and show y'all. Cause I don't see it. And there she go again, looking creepy as hell. Just looking creepy. Anyway, lot to you. So Grandma Ben is the same person as Rose. She is Princess Rose. She just changed her name to Ben. Because she in hiding, Grandma Ben. So this is Louis or Lucius. So Lucius down. Him and Rose, they were in love. But so while the sister Brer, she was using the power of the Lord of Locusts, she ended up tricking and like putting him under a spell to like fall in love with her and reject Rose or Grandma Ben. We're gonna start calling her Grandma Ben because that's what she's known throughout the whole movie. I mean the whole book. Only Lucius called her Rose. But so whole time, he under this curse and Grandma Ben walk in on his sister and him like making out and he was like, yeah, bitch, I don't even like you like that. I'm gonna marry your motherfucking sister. Yeah, fuck you. And it was just some wild shit. And like, they old and shit now, but she always kind of like held that against him type shit. So they didn't get back together until like, at the very, very end. It's kind of implied they get back together or whatever. But yeah, I like that storyline. That was nice. Let me see. This says Locust. I wonder if it's gonna show the Lord of Locusts. Because I think at the end of the books we see what the Lord of Locusts look like. But yeah, it don't really show. Again, I don't know. The comics they're very entertaining. They're funny. Like the Great Cow Race. That was a funny book. They was kind of scary though. The Red Dragon. He he's trying to like he's sending like Thorn messages from the past so she can know who she is and shit. And he visit her, but every time she tell Grandma Ben that she's seen a dragon, Grandma Ben just called her crazy and was like dragons don't exist. This was before Thorn found out who she really was. And so he be like protecting her and stuff. Some of his motherfucking pictures are like kind of intimidating to me. Let me see. Because I'm gonna take these off. And so you know how I told y'all about the little circles they step inside or whatever. They like are like portals to other places. They're called ghost circles. I'm trying to see if they got a picture. Like so the ghost circles, you can't see the ghost circles, but it's shown like an invisible dome because they were chased by some red creatures and they stepped inside the circle. And so when they step inside the circle, you know, the creatures are chasing them. So they run into the motherfucking barrier and they end up dying. But I probably have to go in my book and take a picture of that scene too because they probably don't got it. But yeah, I don't know. That comic was like super, super good. I love Bone so much. And you can get the big one. One of them got color. The other one is just black and white. But either way, it's still good. So I am actually going to we're gonna end the stream, but since I talked about a lot of stuff, I'm gonna pull some content. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is probably Percy Jackson. Some of the like in detailed like stories and stuff. And we can go over interesting. We can go over Annabeth and Percy being in Tartarus because that one was real good. Of course, you know, they was traumatized after that shit, especially Annabeth, because I think Annabeth seen Percy die or something like that. But we can go over there because that seemed like that would be pretty cool. Because some of the stories are really good. And it's like something that really should have had like a spin-off or like a small set of books. Like how The Lion King did a Scar story. You know, he had that son and shit. But we're gonna go to bed now. Good night, everyone.